Greetings, Dr. Dominique Reese here, CEO of Reese Financial Services, where I am the Chief Financial Coach, Consultant, and Planner. And I want to share with you 3 easy tasks that you can complete this month to have a financially free month this month and every month. I got off a call with my client, and while she shared with me that food has been one area that she would love to make some changes in, it really came down to us talking about her calendar. And so I thought, this would be a perfect opportunity to share with you just how much money management is related to calendar management and time management. So that takes us to the first task that you can complete this month and every month in order to have a financially free month. And that is going to be calendar management. So what does that really mean? Well, calendar management is simply where you take a look at the calendar for the upcoming month and you block out all the things. It's really a good idea to take a daily approach because every day is different, particularly during the week versus the weekend. So I want you to take a look at your calendar, block out all the things, the time that you rise. What do you do after you rise? Do you eat? Do you exercise? Do you meditate? Do you do yoga? Block out that time. The time that you commute. If you have to drive to work or take the children to school, block that time out as well. Block out the time that you're at work. Then the time that you leave work. Because again, if you're doing these activities, you can't do other things during this time. So it's important that your calendar represents the things that you're doing. It helps you to view your lifestyle from a time perspective. How are you spending your time? Which ultimately leads me to time management, which we'll talk about in a second, and that's the second task. But with calendar management, you're taking a very macro look at your month, and now you're going to be able to see the opportunities when you do have time to do the things that you've been wanting to do. Now, as you think about your weekends, which, most of us might have our weekends to do some of the things that we can't do during the week, I want you to block those times as well. It is important that you get this as accurate as possible because the goal is to really identify time that we can spend looking at our money. And I'll bring this back to the conversation that I had with my client when she mentioned that food was an area that she wanted to make some improvements in. My first solution to her was calendar management. So go ahead and block out your daily activities. From that, you're going to be able to see what time you actually have to do all the other things. Now we're talking time management. Time management is the second task that you can do this month and every month to have a financially free month. Because if food is an area that you want to improve, as an example, like my client, I need you to know how much money you're spending in the food category. I need you to see the frequency with which you spend money on food. The only way you're going to do this is by taking time to look at your numbers. So when do you have time to look at your numbers? Hence, the reason why calendar management is the first task. Time management is the second task because now that you've identified some time within your calendar, you can say, okay, next Thursday at 2 p.m., I have a 2-hour block. I am going to dedicate that time to spending time with my numbers, to looking at my numbers, whatever that might mean, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So now in time management, you've identified a day and a time that you can spend with your numbers. We're going to block that out as a money date. A money date is when you take dedicated time to spend with your numbers. Now, what you do with that time is what we'll talk about in the third task. And that third task that you can do this month and every month to have a financially free month is money management. Money management is when you spend time with the numbers. It's creating a money date and protecting that time to do all the things. Look at your bank statements, look at your credit card statements, call providers, research things. Whatever the money related task, this is the time that you're going to take to do it because you've set that time aside. So now, if we want to get at food and changing the behaviors that we see around our spending in this particular category, or any category that you identify as a category of expenses that you want to make some improvements on, this is where you're going to do your budget and your 30-day look back. This is where you're going to use the tools that you are already using or not, depending on where you are in your journey. But this is the time to whip out that look back, do your look back for the past 30 days, and then to begin to craft your budget for the next 30 days. And this is where you get an opportunity to say, okay, if I spent $600 on food last month, I don't want to do that this month. Instead, I'm going to do a $400 budget for food, and I'm going to redirect the $200 that I'm saving to other areas of my budget that are more meaningful to me. And now you've made an improvement in the food category of your budget. Now, of course, you got to stick to it. It's one thing to put it on paper. Now it's another thing to actually do it. So this is your rubber meets the road moment. And this is where you get to test the budget that you've set for this particular category. So it's these 3 easy tasks: calendar management, time management, and money management, that if you do them will allow you to have a financially free month this month and every month. Hope this has been helpful for you. Dr. Dominique Reese here, signing off. Till we meet again. Peace.